Killing Floor 2 is a wave-by-wave survival game made by Tripwire Interactive and released in November 2016 as a sequel to the original Killing Floor. In this video, I'm going to take a look at just how awesome Killing Floor 2 is and whether it's worth your money in 2019. Graphically, Killing Floor 2 is a beautiful game, going so far as to include an NVIDIA Flex feature for some of its effects, making blood splatters absolutely beautiful, even compared to newer games. Speaking of blood splatters, this must be one of the goriest games that has come out in recent years, and might be the only recent game besides Doom 2016 that doesn't need a brutal mod. Besides the effects and gore, the graphics are beautiful because the game runs on the still relevant Unreal 4 engine, making full use of its graphical fidelity. The animations in Killing Floor 2 are also absolutely beautiful, as normal for Tripwire Interactive, including almost, if not literally all animations within the game. The guns especially have extremely high quality animations with a frame rate clocking into the hundreds. Story-wise, there is little within the game to see, however there is some amount of story present outside of the game which basically just goes as follows. Horzine makes clones, someone breaks in and lets them out, head scientist becomes patriarch, cue apocalypse. As simple as it is, it's serviceable and it leads to some pretty interesting characters, such as the patriarch and Dr. Hans Volter. And then there's the gameplay. Oh, the gameplay. Where to start? Well, let's start with the gunplay actually. The gunplay of Killing Floor 2 is absolutely awesome, with high quality animations and punchy feeling weapons, and that's not even mentioning the sound effects. The sound effects are awesome. I have heard this game very rightly described as gun porn, and that's for a very good reason. There is no bad element of the weapons, and there are few weapons in this game that aren't viable to use, meaning there's also a great variety at play. And then there's the ragdolls of the enemies when you shoot them. You feel like you've just shot them in the face with a pirate's cannon loaded with golden cannonballs. The other thing to note about the weapons is the variety though. Seriously, note the variety, because you've got everything ranging from plasma rifles to shotguns, and just about anything you could think of in between, including an explosive sledgehammer which makes getting a kill feel like you just batted them off of the planet. And then there's the enemies, almost all of which are fun to fight and very well balanced, the biggest exceptions to the balance rule being the elite crawlers and flesh pounds, the latter of which only feels overpowered and annoying when you're the wrong class to fight them, and having a good demolitions expert on your team can turn flesh pounds into flesh chunks and bits of metal strewn about pretty damn quickly. The rest of the enemies are all pretty damn well balanced, even though the husks sometimes seem unfair, but really all you have to do to deal with them is keep back or put about half a mag from any decent weapon in the game into them to put them down, which isn't too much of an issue in the standard survival game mode, while on the other hand it may prove a little bit more difficult in the later ways of the endless mode. There is also the awesome mechanic of Z time, which slows down time within the game and allows you to absolutely annihilate Zeds in slow motion, with slow motion gore, making the over-the-top gore and Zed deaths even more awesome, while perfectly showcasing the epic weapon animations done by Tripwire Interactive, and those beautiful 200 frames per second coming fully into play. Game modes wise, Killing Floor 2 has two important ones, a throwaway one and a mod that I think should be officially added into the game. The two main ones are Survival and Endless. Survival is a simple survive X waves game mode, which is easy enough and quite fun. The Endless is your pretty standard endless wave, survive as long as possible, fighting off hordes of enemies. The throwaway game mode is a game mode that allows people to play as both the Zeds and the survivors. But this game mode is less balanced and has very few people playing it compared to either Survival or Endless. And the mod I mentioned earlier is called Z-Ternal, and it's the ultimate version of the Survivalist class, where you can spec into just about any class you want and use just about whatever weapon you like, because the game will randomly unlock a bunch of them for you, but it unlocks so many that you generally get the one you want within the first 5 or so waves. The boss fights are okay, but not too challenging, with a grand total of 4 bosses, all of which are very different from each other. The 4 bosses are the Patriarch, Dr. Hans Volter, King Fleshpound, and the Abomination. The Patriarch is the original boss ported from the original Killing Floor. He's a massive motherfucker with a minigun for an arm, a metal leg, and tentacles growing from his back. Overall, the Patriarch is a fairly easy boss because he calls out all of his attacks with one-liners before he fires them off. Although he can cloak, which allows him to get away if you don't have a commando, and can regenerate 3 times, which does happen between each of his 3 stages, and each time he regenerates he also unlocks new attacks. However, you can kill him while he's trying to run off and regenerate, meaning that the boss fight can be cut short. Hans Volter, on the other hand, is a crazy Nazi scientist covered in machines to keep himself alive. He also carries 2 submachine guns with bayonets on them, and has a rack of grenades in his anus apparently, because nobody knows where he pulls them from. He also has metal claws on his fingers to attack you with. All in all, he is the strongest boss with his shields and fairly powerful attacks. Also to note is that Hans Volter can heal himself almost vampirically by life draining a player. King Fleshpound, on the other hand, is a really easy boss by comparison. Just back away and blast his ass, then duck when he fires his chest laser. Other than that, there isn't much to learn, although he usually does get a couple of hits in if you haven't killed him by the time he gets near, since on a flat surface he can run slightly faster than a player. The Abomination, on the other hand, is a little harder than the King Fleshpound, and much more annoying with his Abomination Spawn and dual axes. He also has heavy armor and gets faster with each of the 3 pieces you destroy, and you have to destroy at least 1 piece to do damage to him. His spawn are an extremely annoying knockoff of Minecraft creepers that shower you with slime jizz when they explode. This also blocks your view, making him by far the most annoying boss in the game. As for updates, Killing Floor 2 still gets them regularly, and is well supported by Tripwire Interactive, with the most recent update adding a plasma rifle called the Helios Rifle, and an electricity gun called the Kilowatt, both of which are very good, alongside the updates to the Firebug class making it much more viable and fixing the balance a little. In conclusion, Killing Floor 2 is a very well made game and definitely worth your 20 quid in the United Kingdom, and I would say it's even a little underpriced due to the high quality of gameplay and generally lacking any exceedingly bad aspect. Sure, the bosses aren't that great and the level design isn't on Doom 2016's level, but the gunplay and the enemies more than make up for it in my opinion. Thank you for watching. Sorry for the slightly shorter video. If you enjoyed, like, comment and subscribe. I have been your host, Vert343, signing out. Peace out, gentlemen.